Hello, everybody, and welcome to Libromancy, a podcast about the magic of books. I'm Josh, and today I'm going to be talking about In the Shadow of Lightning by Brian McClellans. So let's glass dance with the magic of books. Now, first off, I just have to say this was an amazing book. You know, previous to this, I'd read some books that I didn't 100% love, and so I just read them slower, and I was beating myself up about it. Man, Josh, you got to get back into reading, a little faster. There's so many books you're going to be missing if you can't pick up the speed. Well, it turns out it's just the books. If I like the book, I'll definitely find any and every excuse to read it. Even to the detriment of myself and other things. So, In the Shadow of Lightning by Brian McClellans was great. It was amazing. I loved every minute, every second that I was reading it. I literally could not put this book down sometimes. Not that I ever wanted to really put it down, but sometimes I had to, and it was tough. And I pretty much opened my phone to start reading it again as soon as I could. So it was just a great book. I'm trying to get into non-spoilery, just talk about it. Like, I loved the characters. They were so good. I loved the plot. You start with one thing, then you go to another, and then you're like, well, what? This is great. Like, this, I just have to talk about his prologue, though. This prologue was amazing. It instantly hooked me on the main character. I instantly knew I was going to love everything that happened. The magic system is well explained and well thought out, but still soft enough that, like, you don't know everything that could happen or every possible interaction, but you know how things generally work. So I really, really like that. Back to the characters, though. We're in the heads of a couple characters. I really felt like each one was distinctive. I just loved being in their heads all the time. And I really want to talk about the spoilers, but I'm going to try not to first. So, his writing, I thought Brian McClellans' writing was really good. I did feel like it was better than when he wrote the Powder Mage series, which is not a bad thing. Like, he's had time to grow. He's had years between them. Like, if he hadn't improved, it would be a little different. But I just felt like the writing was great. There's a lot of chapters, but the chapters are generally, I'm not going to say they're short chapters, but they're not like overly long chapters. And I liked that each chapter was its own character. I generally do not love character transitions in like the middle of a chapter unless it's very obvious, but then that kind of induces its own page breaks and stuff. So I like that each character kind of was a chapter, and generally you'd switch off in between every one. And I really liked that I didn't feel like there were any bad writer's tricks to keep me invested in the what was going on. The most well-known, I think, would be the trope of, the trick of ending your chapter on a cliffhanger where you don't know what's going to happen next, or you know kind of what's happening next, but they cut you off right at that crucial moment, cutting you off from some information, then you have to turn the page and see what's going to happen, and then, of course, you want to keep reading. So I really didn't feel like there were any of those kind of tricks in there, but tricks that were good, just keeping me invested in the characters, keeping me excited for their missions and the things that they were doing. Just, it was great. The plot, like I said, looking back on it, you can clearly see the whole thing kind of stretched out in front of you, but while you're in the thick of it, you're going from, well, this to this to this, of course, because, things are going to happen, and you never know where a book's going to take you. But when I look back at this, I don't look back and think, well, that went somewhere I really wasn't expecting. It led me right along to it until near the end, of course, and we'll get into some spoiler stuff, but just very good. Like I said, I really loved the magic system. I like that he explained a little bit. He had a little fact sheet in the front just saying, this is this, this is this. It's nothing that you can't pick up when you're reading it. And if you skip it, you're not going to miss anything. But having it ahead of time really just speeds up your immersion in the world. And then because sometimes it's a little clunky to be like, and this is what this magic piece does that I've only used 47,000 times and I'm a master at. And so if you're looking at that, you're like, well, why would he just say that? He obviously knows what it does. Obviously it's for us, but that is, what it is. So like I said earlier, I am super, super excited for all the next books in this series. I just can't believe, I just am so excited for this. It was great. But let's just get into the spoilers. And let me just again say, this is going to be full spoilers for the whole book. We're going to jump around a lot because this book makes you jump around a lot, not in a bad way, but in a great way. But we're going to start off with characters. We're going to start with Demir Grepo. I call him Grepo, Demir, but he's our main character. I just love the prologue where he's the general, he's the super smart guy. He's using his wit glass to think about plans and plans and plans. You know, if my A plan fails, we'll go to my B plan. But if my B plan, succeeds, middles or fails, then I have 3 sets of plans for them. And he's just like, I've got it all. I figured it out. And they're like, okay, now you got to destroy the city. Like, kill 1 in 10 people. And he's like, oh no, I'm better than that. I'm not going to kill anybody. I'm going to save the city. We're going to take our complaints to the assembly, where he works in the politics just so well. Where like, you're never really focused on exactly what the assembly does or who's in it. Kind of are a little bit, but like, it's never the focus, but you still understand enough to know what's going on. And then the city gets sacked and he freaks out and he's trying to save people and he's trying to stop it and he can't. And then, it clearly says like his mind broke, and it was just like, oh my gosh, you have me hooked. I want more, So you read it and you see stuff, and then he keeps going on, and then he comes back because his mom died, of course, and he's like, I have to make this right. I have to, I basically am going to find her killers and make them pay. And it's just like, yeah, I love a good revenge. But then his character grows and he changes, and he's like, you know what? I don't need the wit glass. Like, I can do it on my own, which granted, the wit glass makes him smarter, and he probably can't do it exactly like he could on his own. But, he understands that, like, I am not who I was in the past. I'm better. I've grown more. I don't have to use the wit glass if I don't need to. Obviously, also because it still hurts him, because he's still kind of broken. But he learns things. He changes. He's trying to grow. It's so amazing. Talk about Baby Montego. I keep wanting to call him Montenegro. I don't know why. But Baby Montego, that's awesome. The world's most famous pugilist. Man, just beats people up and stops people, and it's so amazing. And I have to give Brian McClellans a little credit here. Never in my days did I think I would read a book where where a character is named Baby, and it wouldn't be weird. And it wasn't weird, though. He pulled it off. It was great. I mean, it's a little odd the first couple of times you hear it, but then it's like, no, that's just it. It is. We never get any viewpoints from him, but I don't feel like we needed them, because his character is pretty, you can't say that he's one-dimensional, because he has desires and things. It's just, he doesn't need to be he doesn't need to have a point of view, because it's not important. I just loved every scene with him, and we're going to skip straight to the end of the book. Him killing the angry one. Oh man, I wasn't literally jumping up in my seat, but if you could see my spirit or my soul, man, it was jumping and screaming and hollering when he gets to the end and he's like, because you took your eyes off of me, the world's best frickin' cudulist, you are dead. And he, stabs him and kills him. And it's just like, yeah, that's it. Do it, Baby Montego. Just brutalize this horrible creature from beyond that has tentacles and you've never seen before. That's a Euglid. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was the best. And then, of course, if we're going to talk about Baby Montego, we have to talk about Kize, who is a Vorsian, which is another family. And Demir hires her to investigate the murder of his mother, even though the official investigation is closed and they're headed for war, which is partially also why Demir's back. It's just, and she starts searching and she finds clues, and it's never made unbelievable that, like, oh yeah, she could easily find these clues when nobody else could. And it's like, no, she puts in the time, she puts in the work, you can see it, it's told to you, and that, like, the assembly investigation was just a farce, basically, to push this war. And Kize, and Baby Montego's relationship, and you're like, oh, they have it starts off like, oh no, they don't like each other because they can't stand each other or something. And then it turns into, it's like, no, they don't actually hate each other. They actually kind of like each other. And then it's like, and then you get the whole story. You're just like, oh my gosh, so well done. So exciting. Adrian, the breacher, I loved reading about him and him going in and being like, I have to save these people. And, he makes the right decisions in war, where he's like, maybe it's not the right decision, but it's generally the moral decision where, no, I am going to save those people instead of just some guns. Like, we can always get more guns, but I can't get more people that I trust. I loved it. I loved seeing him fight just everybody and everything. And then you learn that the God's Glass people, he is resistant to the God's Glass, and seeing that he has this God's Glass eye of wit glass, and that it basically prevents him from going insane, and it's starting to fail, is just like, yeah, that's amazing. Like, and it had such a depth to his character. And, you know, I'm sorry, we've only been talking about characters, and I'm already like 12 minutes in, but like, I just loved it. These characters were amazing. So, all right, let's go a little bit faster here with the rest of these characters. Okay, except for Thessa. We have to just finish out with Thessa, who is the forger's assistant, and she's captured, and then she rescues herself, and Demir rescues her. So good. I just loved her character, that she's just growing. She's smart, she's capable, she's confident, yet she's still put into situations that push her to an extreme and test her. You know, at the end, when she blows up her Phoenix channel almost, and the lightning strikes and she uses it to power it, and they have all their God's Glass recovered, and they're like, oh, we're going to go get those guys who betrayed us, and we are going to mess them up. And she's like, yeah, I'm going. Like, we're going to do it. I love her start of a relationship with Demir. That, like, it starts very slow and very subtle, and then it's kind of like, oh, maybe. But then, you know, we learn, oh, she's from Holocan, and she hates, you know, him. And they learn about that. And then I loved this, that instead of just learning that he was the the Lightning Prince, and leaving and never talking to him again and never trying to resolve it, you know, she immediately goes to somebody she trusts, Idrian, and she's like, tell me what happened. You know, do you know anybody who was there who can tell me what happened? He's like, well, none of my crew were, but I was, I'll tell you. And then she's like, okay, I understand. Like, and we learn, obviously, that he's really not culpable for it. He did not order the sack at all. It was forged. And then, you know, she goes back right away to him and is like, hey, you know, obviously we're not going to, like, ramp right back up to that romance level we were just at, but, like, I forgive you. And, like, it's okay. And they both grow together. Oh, it was so good. And then Aristanes, the schemer, the thinking one, the angry one, the conquering one. Oh, I loved it. The Euclids. I was like, because the first, like, okay, it's a murder mystery. Then it's not a murder mystery, it's a war story. Then it's we have to build the first Phoenix channel to recharge the God Glass because we're running out of cinder sand. And it's all going to the world is going to destroy itself if that happens. And then you learn, oh, the Euclids are actually pushing for the destruction of the world, and they are horrible, scary tentacle beasts. Or at least one of them was. We don't know if they're all the same. And then there's these glass creatures going around in the war, which was super crazy. And are they related? Are they not? I don't know. So I don't know. This is so much stuff. It was so good. You know, and like I said earlier, we're going to get into the writing here. There were a lot of chapters, but I feel like they were generally short, and it went really quickly. You read a couple chapters anytime you open the book. And I love, again, like that the chapters were used to signal a character shift or a different perspective. And he does trick you a couple times with it, where you're used to being like, oh man, okay, it's the end of the chapter. I'm going to leave this character, and then you stay with them. And then you leave again, then you stay with another one. So it wasn't too predictable, but it was predictable in a comfortable way. Again, with the magic, I loved it all, like shackle glass, forge glass, fear glass, cure glass, milk glass. I mean, just amazing stuff. Omni glass, the Phoenix channel to revive, to re-resonate God's Glass, which I just loved it all. It made total sense. And then they're always hooking it through their ears, and it's like, oh, that makes total sense, because, like, I don't know, you can handle it in your hands, but it's not very effective. But if you have it in your ear, like, you're not gonna lose it. It's not gonna drop off you. Now, somebody could try and cut it off of you, or like pull it in a fight, but generally, like, it's not gonna happen that way. Like, obviously you can make armor out of it, and then it's always on you and you can use it. Like, just so many little interactions that made it so hard yet soft and so good. So, you know, just like I said with my investment of this book, I was in it wholesale from the prologue to the epilogue. And then the epilogue, you know, brings so many questions with the two Euclids arguing and saying, like, no, you know, you're back out to destroy them again. Like, you always do this. It never works. Like, quit it. We can all live together. And he's like, no. So so many, I just can't, it was so many good books, so many good parts in this book, excuse me. So, but I think that's going to be everything I have to say about In the Shadow of Lightning by Brian McClellans. Amazing book. You should all go out and read it if you haven't. Hopefully, if you've listened this long, you've already read it, because I spoiled quite a lot of important things for this story. But, you know, thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks again to David Hillowitz for the intro and outro music. You know, if you have any questions or comments, things you think I should have said, you know, you can send those to libromancypod@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. It helps out a lot. And remember, to Glass Dance with the Magic of Books.